If you're a ministry leader or a pastor, you might be thinking about the future of the church and how technology is affecting so many of the ways that we interact with the world and we engage and connect with other people. I wanted to share with you about some of the changes in culture that have taken place just within the last few years. When it comes to buying a car, it used to be that you and I had to engage in a uncomfortable, confrontational process of dealing with car salesmen in a threatening environment. You'd have to walk into a car dealership and look at a car and talk to people, and you had to go back and forth and spend hours and hours going through an entire application process, and then getting billed at the end with all these extras and having to consider all those things. And it was just a very uncomfortable process. Fast forward to within the last few years, there are companies like Carvana. Have you heard of the company Carvana? It's a place where you can actually purchase a car from the comfort of your home, or you can even go to a car vending machine. If you could believe that these actually exist, you can punch in the car that you want, and the machine will flip the cars around, and then your car will be brought down to your level, and you could take it home without ever interacting with a contentious or uncomfortable conversation with another person. This company and others also provide a way for you to research a car online, to see the reviews, to see the pros and cons, and to apply for a loan from the comfort of your home. And when you purchase the car, it can even be shipped directly to your door. It's interesting that technology is completely changing the way that we interact with the world, with each other, and the way that we consume products. So, as a church, we sometimes look at some of these changes that are happening and we begin to ask, how can we adapt to some of these changes? And as ministry leaders, we might be asking, how can we leverage some of these changes so that we can extend our reach into the community through the digital ways that people are interacting with the world? Heidi Campbell, an authority on the intersection of faith and online digital practices, makes a case that online platforms create kind of a third space that is unique. It's not like faith that is practiced in person, and it's not like faith that is practiced online. It is kind of its own space. It's a unique space in which people online, given the opportunity, can try things out online, can learn about and explore faith and who God is and who Jesus is and what our churches are like and what growing in our faith is actually like, and to do it in a non-threatening way. There are many people who feel a little bit uncomfortable even asking simple questions about Christianity to a person. They may not have access to somebody. They may not feel comfortable broaching the subject of spirituality and Christian growth with Christian friends or coworkers that they may have. And so there are studies out there that are emphasizing the fact that people who are interested in faith would like to approach it in a non-threatening way. And online searches and online through social media or through our online websites create a space, this third space, in which people can actually learn about our faith or learn about God and learn about the walk with Christ and try it out and ask questions and be able to figure out, is this something that I can engage with more closely as I seek to try to find meaning in my life? So these are some of the questions that we need to be wrestling with, and we need to be asking, how can we create in our church websites, in our social media posts, a third kind of a space where people can explore faith and explore our church in a non-threatening way? So I'm going to give you just a couple of suggestions, maybe things that you can take to your ministry leaders or your elders, or your web designer or your social media director, to be able to say, how can we create a third space where people can engage with our faith in a non-threatening way. You may come to your website or to your social media post and help people answer some of their questions. You may have a blog post that asks questions. For instance, is God comfortable with questions? You might give some biblical examples of people who had questions, who you think about the Psalms where David and some of the other psalmists had some very serious questions towards God, and how God is a God who's very comfortable with people asking questions. God is the kind of God who's comfortable with people journeying along with God, even though they haven't quite figured everything out about faith or about God. You may start a series of social media posts that might ask some of these basic questions and then give an answer that's open and user-friendly. You may create your digital spaces as places for people to explore what it's like to be a Christian. You may post on your website or social media, you may say, what does a Christian do on a weekend? And you can describe what a Sabbath is like. You can describe what a day of rest might do for somebody who's busy, going 7 days a week. For Seventh-day Adventists, you may ask a question: how can lifestyle and diet lengthen and improve my quality of life? And then you give some examples of how, as we as Seventh-day Adventists believe that so many things that we do and the way that we eat and the way we exercise can significantly improve our way of life. Another blog post or social media post you might say is, how can we give people an opportunity to try spiritual disciplines or prayer or reading the Bible in a practical way? So you might have some suggestions. You might have a prayer that they could pray. You might give them suggestions about how to pray or how to begin a prayer. You may answer a question about, is it possible for a non-Christian to pray a Christian prayer? Is it possible for a person to pray even though they don't fully know if they believe in God or not? Some of the ways that we can consider engaging with people in this third space, where people can, in a non-threatening way, explore what it might mean to be a follower of Jesus Christ, might be in a conversational question and answer kind of a way, where in our social media or in our websites, we make more prominent on our websites or social media posts some of these questions that people might be having, and we provide questions and answers for them to learn and to explore with links that they could follow up if they have more questions about some of these things. These are just some thoughts, just a springboard for conversation for you and your ministry leaders, so that you can begin or continue to explore ways to allow people to explore faith in these digital platforms that we might be developing.